Hello, today I will be discussing about the Higgs model of trade cycle. Higgs's model of the trade cycle. Well, from the Samuelson's model of the trade cycle, we have a understanding. We have an understanding that the time span, there is no concept of time span. And the Samuelson model of trade cycle is very short and formal. Okay, it is very short and formal. There is no trend in the business cycle, where in practical life there is a trend. So this type of shortcomings or loopholes actually were found in the Samuelson's model of the trade cycle. So, so to clarify the shortcomings or loopholes, Higgs introduced the model of trade cycle in his work. So, J.R. Higgs, in his book, a contribution to the theory of the trade cycle, makes some important changes to the model. It makes some important changes in the model of the Samuelson model. He actually introduced the floor and the ceiling to a linear model. It creates a piecewise linear framework that can construct bounded fluctuations. In the Samuelson model, there was no bound, but in the Higgs model, there is a bound. So Higgs's model of trade cycle is a bounded fluctuation. Trade cycle. It has a bounded fluctuation. According to Higgs, the theory of the acceleration and the theory of multiplier are the two sides of the theory of fluctuation. Just as the theory of demand and the theory of supply. As you know, there is a theory of demand and theory of supply are the two sides of the theory of value. In the same way, the theory of acceleration and the theory of multiplier are the two sides of the theory of the fluctuations. This is the Higgs's understanding. Okay. Now, there are some useful concepts in the Higgsian model. One is the autonomous investment. One is autonomous investment. Another is induced investment. And the warranted rate of growth. And there is the connection of the multiplier and the accelerator. So these four are the important concepts which play an important role in Higgsian model of business cycle. Okay, so what is autonomous investment? Autonomous investment is that type of investment which is autonomously originate, such as investment in railways, which does not depend on income, does not depend on income. It is not function of income. Okay, it is autonomous. It is independent. Road construction, you can say the road construction is an autonomous investment. And induced investment is a function of income that is generated from the autonomous investment. Induced investment is a function of income that is generated from the autonomous investment. The warranted rate of growth. As we know, in the Higgs model, this concept was there. The warranted rate of growth is that rate of growth at which the economy is growing when there is desired level of savings and desired investment is equal. Desired savings and desired investment are equal. Desired capital stock and desired and actual capital stock are equal. This is the warranted rate of growth. As we know that according to Higgs, warranted rate is nothing but small s by u. It is the marginal propensity to save, and this is the capital output ratio. Okay, this is the warranted rate of growth. The connection of the multiplier with the accelerator. And what is multiplier and what is accelerator? Multiplier is nothing but if there is an increase in autonomous investment, income will increase through multiplier. Okay. If there is increase in autonomous investment, then income will increase through multiplier. And when there is an increase in induced investment, income will increase through accelerator. This is the difference between the multiplier and accelerator. Through multiplier, income is generated, and that income will increase the induced investment, and that investment again increase the income through accelerator. Okay, so there are four factors, that is the autonomous investment, induced investment, the warranted rate of growth, the connection of the multiplier with the accelerator are the four important parts in Higgsian model of the business cycle. Okay. Now, there are some assumptions. On which the Higgsian model actually was built. One is autonomous investment is increasing at a regular rate. Autonomous investment is progressive. Autonomous investment is progressive. There is always autonomous investment. This type of understanding, this type of assumption is there in the Higgsian model. Now, the coefficient of savings and investment are such that an upward displacement from the equilibrium path will tend to cause a progress away from equilibrium. Here, movement may be delayed or lagged. Okay, so coefficients of savings and investment are important here. The third assumption is beyond the full employment level of output, it is impossible to expand output. Beyond the full employment level of output, it is impossible to produce further because total resources actually is exhausted. So the fourth one is on the downward motion of the economy, downswing capital output ratio plays an indirect role as a constraint. Fifth one is since consumption and induced investment work in lagged way, multiplier and accelerator functioning act in lagged way. In the Samuelson model, there is no lag in multiplier and accelerator, but here it is assumed that the multiplier and accelerator work in lagged way, function in lagged way. Okay, since consumption and induced investment work in lagged way, on that basis it is said there are ceiling and floors. It is important. There are ceiling and floors, and oscillation are within that ceiling, within that ramp. And here accelerator is greater than 1. Accelerator is greater than 1. In the Higgsian model, accelerator is greater than 1. Now it is assumed that multiplier and accelerator are constant As they are constant, function of consumption and function of investment are also constant. Okay, it is assumed that multiplier and accelerator are constant. These are the assumptions on the basis actually the Hicksian model of trade cycle was developed. Now, now we try to explain the Hicksian model through a graphical presentation. Okay. Now, look at this graph where along the vertical axis we measure the output and investment. Along the vertical axis we measure the output and investment, and along the horizontal axis we measure the time. Here are four upward rising lines: 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are four upward rising lines, and the AI is the autonomous investment. It is the autonomous investment. It has an upward rising because autonomous investment is progressive. It is a special feature in the Hicksian model of business cycle. So autonomous investment is an upward rising. It is upward rising. And there is a EP. There is EP line. This is the equilibrium path. It actually shows the warranted rate of growth, where real saving is equal to real investment. In Harrod model, what is the warranted rate of growth? It is the warranted rate of growth, EP, with the trend. Okay. Now, this is the lower limit. LL is the lower limit. Beyond this limit, the GDP cannot come down. Okay, and this is the UL, the upper limit, within which this upper limit and lower limit actually the cycle works. Actually, the cycle works. So this is the UL upper limit. This upper limit actually the natural rate of growth. What is the natural rate of growth? Natural rate of growth is that rate of growth when the economy is growing at a exogenous exponential rate. At an exogenous exponential rate. This is that where all the resources actually fully utilized. Okay, so now suppose the income increase starts from point y0. This is the point y0. It starts from here, and here is a innovation. Here is innovation, and that innovation gives a positive shock to the economy, and on the basis of through the multiplier accelerator interaction model, the income will increase up to point y1, and it is a boom situation. And here the income will touch the UL line, and along this line it moves for a while, because there is a time between y1 and y2, as because the induced investment depends on lags. There are lagged induced investment. Because of lagged induced investment, actually this happens. Income moves along the UL line from y1 to y2. Now, when the income falls from y2, then it will be falling y2, y3, and y4 to y4. Okay, y4. This falls in this way. The income falls in this way, and investment is less than the Induced investment is less than the required investment to maintain the equilibrium path. So the income falls beyond Y3, and it will not fall beyond Y4 because there is autonomous investment. As there is a progressive autonomous investment, the income will not fall below the lower limit, that is the Y4. Here, one thing should be clear that here the expansion and contraction. Contraction is the rate of expansion is more than the rate of contraction. Okay, rate of contraction. Rate of expansion is more than the rate of contraction. Again, along the lower limit, the along the lower limit, the income moves from Y4 to Y5, Y4 to Y5. And in the same way, the cycles will continue. Cycles will continue. And so this is the graphical presentation of the Hicksian model of the trade cycle. And there is a bound. There is a bound such as lower limit and upper limit. And within this limit, the cycle, the business cycle happens. Okay. Now I am using all this marking, otherwise I will not be able to move further. Now the critical evaluation of Hicksian theory. What is the loopholes? What are the shortcomings? Hicks's great contribution to the theory of business cycle is that it explained how surplus capacity delays the upswing. Okay. And Hicks, in his model, nicely represented cyclical fluctuation within a framework that has an upper limit and a boundary, lower boundary. It is a very important in the Hicksian model that there is an upper limit and lower limit. And within this boundary, the cyclical fluctuation actually happens. This is the Hicks contribution in the trade theory. Okay? And according to Calder, Hicks in his theory used accelerator in inflexible form. Actually, in real situation, the accelerator, that is the capital output ratio, capital required capital per unit of output, is changeable. So Calder said this is one type of it is one type of shortcomings in the Hicksian model of trade cycle. Hicks assumed that multiplier is constant over the period. But multiplier actually is not constant. It is changeable. Multiplier is changeable. He got the idea from the Keynesian static model of the business cycle. So it is also a shortcomings of the Hicksian model. Capital output ratio is constant and at different types of swing in the trade cycle. Constancy of capital output ratio is an assumption on the validity of the Hicksian theory. But in reality, capital output ratio changes depending on the technological change and others. If there is an increase in the technological change, then it is natural the capital output ratio, that is the accelerator, is changeable. Okay. According to Dusenberry, Hicks in his business cycle showed the importance of the effect of multiplier accelerated interaction, but it was mechanical. It was mechanical. Human judgment, business expectations have no role to play. So Dusenberry criticized Hicksian model of trade cycle on the basis of that. Actually, Hicks did not did not give importance to the human judgment, business expectations. Okay, it is a mechanical theory. From Hicks's theory of business cycle, we found that the contraction part is much longer than the expansion part of the cycle. But in real, the post-war period, we have found that the expansion part is larger, is longer than the contraction part. So here is a loophole. Okay, so here is a loophole in the Hicksian model of the trade cycle. Hicks in his model confuses the role of money. He was confused by the role of money. He says that contraction period from 1922 to 1923 was because of monetary factors. He said that. But in his model, mentions that basic reason for the downward movement of the output is the multiplier accelerator interaction effect. Okay, here is the role of endogenous variable and exogenous variable. He did not consider the exogenous variable. Ultimately, he considered the endogenous variable. There are a number of weaknesses in the Hicks's theory of trade cycle. There are a number of weaknesses in the Hicks's theory of trade cycle. In spite of these loopholes, this theory has a fundamental. He nicely explained fluctuation of growth path with upper and lower limit. This is the main fundamental in the Hicksian theory. So I hope you have enjoyed this lecture and enrich your knowledge. And thank you for watching this video.